it's Kieran here from Gamers Tonight. I thought I would do a little extra video for you guys today, just to go through some of the really cool gaming memorabilia and special editions and things that I've owned through the years. Every single item that you're going to see in today's video, I've actually sold throughout the years. I had a lot of problems growing up. Came from a pretty rough part of town in England. And in addition, throughout my teenage years, I didn't really have a lot of financial support. I didn't really know how to manage my money well, as certainly that was never given to me as part of my education. And then going on from there, I was in a string of bad, abusive relationships, and things just weren't particularly good for me at the time. So unfortunately, these are all kind of memories for me, which I don't know, now that my situation's a lot more improved, that was way over 10 years ago for me, that, hopefully I can get some of this stuff back one day, as I've still got really fond memories of having all this stuff. So the first thing that should be popping up right here and that you guys have been seeing is the Final Fantasy VIII box set. This was a promotional item given out to members of the press and that sort of thing throughout the UK for the release of Final Fantasy VIII. It came with, obviously, a copy of the game, but actually in a bit of a difference, I didn't actually get a copy of the game with, the official sleeve and everything else. I just had this black promotional copy. So I actually don't know if this was ever sold in stores. Certainly I never saw it, but I received a promotional copy for mine. So it did come with the copy of the game and a memory card, just a blank memory card that you could attach some stickers to that were all Final Fantasy VIII themed. It had that little dual-sided photo with obviously the kind of main title and Squall on there with image of Cypher on the back from one of the CG cutscenes from the game's opening, as well as a little t-shirt. From what I remember, actually, it was a pretty crappy quality t-shirt, but it's a t-shirt nonetheless. Next up is a white GameCube that came with a copy of the Super Mario Strikers, which was a fun little game, actually, now that I think back to it. This wasn't anything special, but, I always liked the different colored GameCubes, and I think they came out with some really good ones over the years. Certainly the white one was one of my favorites. This wasn't the pure white edition. From what I understand, they released like a pure kind of matte white one for the Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles release in Japan. This is like a kind of pearly white, so that made it a little different and a little unique. Next up is just a really cool controller. I'm a big fighting game guy, as I'm sure some of you guys have guessed, and this controller certainly helped me out in my PlayStation 2 days. With a lot of training on Guilty Gear on this particular controller. It had a little hologram in the middle, so if you kind of shook it around, it looked like she was doing all the high kicks and that sort of thing. One thing that I did play a lot was Phantasy Star Online, episodes 1 and 2, but also the episode 3, which was the card game kind of variant. It wasn't hugely popular, which is a bit of a shame, but I absolutely loved it. And so to play those games, I bought myself and imported this ASCII keyboard controller, which was gigantic and quite funny for people to look at. Certainly it was something you'd more kind of rest on your lap and type as you needed, but certainly made playing on the GameCube a lot more fun. But then because I liked that game so much, I ended up buying the soundtrack. It was a really nice kind of double disc set that also came with these cards, like reproduction cards from the game. It never was turned into like an official card game or anything. I don't think it really would have translated that well. But certainly it was nice to have these cool little promo items as a nice little novelty. Next up, I did have a collection of like figurines and stuff as well. I was never this kind of crazy guy for them, but certainly for games and series that I liked, I did like to pick them up. So this one is of Tifa from Final Fantasy VII. This one, when I sold it on eBay, I remember selling it for £60, which is at the moment about 120 US or Canadian. And I remember about 2 weeks after I sold it, the guy who bought it from me emailed me with photographs where she's snapped right through the center and some of the hair bits have broken off as well. So not only did I lose the figure, I lost the money as well, which wasn't particularly great. I also had the Aerith from the series, which is another really high quality figure. These ones, I have to admit, are probably the highest quality in terms of figure and for matching original concept art that I've ever seen. This Cloud in particular was just absolutely phenomenal. There's also a Yuffie and Cloud on a bike is part of the set as well, but I never did manage to get a hold of those. This one was a nice little pickup I had. Back in the day on eBay, they were selling these for just £5 a pop. They just had tons and tons and tons of them, and no one could get rid of them fast enough. I ended up selling mine for maybe about £7-8. I think it had gone up a touch in value. Looking at eBay now, that's gone up quite considerably. So in the package, you got a copy of Sonic Adventure 2, which was actually fully playable in English, which was really nice for me, because I didn't own a copy on the Dreamcast at the time. Came with a little booklet on the right-hand side of that package with a little bit of history about Sonic, as well as listing every game that had been released up to that point. A little gold coin in the middle and a kind of best of soundtrack CD on the left-hand side, which was pretty fun as well. I also really like Persona 3, so I got a couple of figures for some of the characters from that. Mitsuru here was definitely one of my favorites. Again, it was a pain to let any of this go. It was all kind of financial worries I was having at the time. Being, close to eviction from a few of my different apartments and houses, it was always a difficult time, but certainly this is a figure I would like to get back. As well as this, one of the main character from Persona. I don't know if you can see, but the stand's kind of cut in half. He was actually designed to go next to an Akihiko figure, which came out like a couple of months later, but that didn't end up happening for me. But certainly, I really like this figure. And now the piece de resistance, the PAL version of Panzer Dragoon Saga. Now, I have to admit, I never did actually own this. I was very close one time. I remember walking into a high street game store with my mum. After playing the demo, in the UK, they actually gave away the entire first disc as a free demo with Sega Saturn magazine. And I played that, and I'd really enjoyed it. I thought it was fantastic. So I went into the city center with my mum for Christmas, and she was going to buy me a couple of Sega Saturn games. So instead of buying this and Enemy Zero, which I was looking at, I ended up buying a copy of Virtua Cop 2, which was no bad thing. That was a good little game. And Sega Worldwide Soccer 98. Yeah, that happened. So I never did own a copy. And it's kind of sad that I might not get to now, just purely because I live in Canada now, and so this copy would not work particularly well without extensive modding of a Sega Saturn, which I may end up doing, as the actual package itself is just far nicer than the North American copy, because the North American copy, and in fact all their Saturn games, came in these really ugly kind of jewel cases, much like the Sega CD games, but with this one it was a nice little package. You got the official artwork on the back of each of the two cases. Very, very nice little setup, and certainly would love to get my hands on one day. One day, my friends. But thank you for joining me on this little random trip down memory lane. Please share in the comments any really cool or maybe box sets that you think people may not have seen or heard of before, or just something that's dear to you. I would actually be really interested in taking a look at some of your kind of historical pieces that give you good memories. So please do comment with those, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you would like me to do another one. Apart from that, enjoy your evenings and have a good one, guys.